Okay, today's Monday. I haven't been here since at least Thursday. I haven't got much done. I had a bunch of stuff to deal with, but I did some work and I got some things accomplished. I have these hydraulic push lock hoses, the Parker hoses, going for the transmission. Uh, you have 290 ends, pushed them on, and then just the top hose here is tech screwed with these insulated clamps to the body, and then I just zip tied these just to save some clamps. Um, Luckily, my daily driver is a 2500 HT, so I was able to see where the rear hose went and the front hose went, and I could plumb it into the radiator properly. And I don't know if there's a reverse flow or if it matters or not, but I have it the way the factory would have had it set up. So that's taken care of. And I actually like the way these hoses go on there. Just take the heat gun to them for about 10-15 seconds and they slide right on pretty sweet. You don't hurt your hands or nothing when you're pressing on them. Much better, much cheaper than AN fittings. I'll never do AN again. I'll use this push lock first. But I'll get probably some of that stuff that covers the wire, like a sheath, and just to around the rough edges, just to put it there and I'll zip tie it over it. Kind of like this stuff. Got this back together. I'm gonna have to move this brake line a little bit. It's a little close, but I've actually been spending a lot of time bleeding it with the pneumatic bleeder, and it's actually seeming to work pretty good right now. It's taking me a while to get back there, but I actually have a pedal now, and it feels decent. I'm still getting mini air bubbles, so I'm going to keep going tomorrow on it. It's late now. I'm tired of hearing the compressor. I just killed it because I just turned it off. It was running forever, and it was just driving me insane. Got a little bit more to do on the back, and then I'll go back to the front to try it again. Then I'll maybe manually bleed it. Have a friend or somebody come over maybe just to double check, make sure it's working. That's taken care of. This was part of my other parts haul. This came one piece and it had like a 90-degree bend in it, and I just chopped it so I have extra filler neck material. This is 1/4 inch hose, that's 2-inch, that's all extra filler neck material. I'm not sure what that is, that's just leftover heater hose. But I have a filler neck hooked up in the truck, and the fuel tank's in, so let me see if you can see that. This is just a piece of piano hinge I had taken home from my last job. Flip that up, and just fills up like normal now. And that's nice and tight. Hose clamps are on there. See the tank in there. I just gotta hook this ground up to the frame somewhere. I just extended the wire, and I'm just gonna hook it up down there, cut it to length, and just not bad if you ask me. I have the EFI fittings on the motor and on the fuel tank. Just clipped them on there because I have to screw the AN lines on anyways, and that'll actually, before getting a tool out to take these fittings off, it'll be easier just to get a wrench and just take off the AN fittings, I think. But run the hoses maybe tomorrow after I take care of the brake situation. Just this stuff, I have 25 feet of this stuff. This is left over 15 feet for the transmission, but I had to loop it around a couple times around some other shit. So I'll take care of that, and then I'm going to start on the wiring harness. I've been saying that, but once this is plumbed, I need to hear it run. The other problem I had when I did one transmission fitting, I had to notch and pull that up a little bit, so before I seam seal and paint the floor and everything like that, I'm going to box that up a little bit. But I still got to play with the shift linkage too, so I'll be welding in some parts of the floor too, take up some of the gap in the floor. But we're going. Maybe I'll work on the dipstick tomorrow too. But now we're in the regular schedule. I'll be swinging back into this pretty heavy. The weather got cold, and I definitely want to drive this before it snows. So that is a partial update. Maybe I'll check back in tomorrow and see how far I got. Okay, next day. I got quite a bit done. It's just time consuming stuff. This dipstick in. It's just in the tranny. It's not mounted to anything. I just cut it here, and then I actually cut the dipstick, drilled out this part, and then drilled out the lower part of the dipstick, and just shoved the pin that I drilled out in there, and then welded a bead on the end of it so it doesn't fly out. Seemed to be the easiest bet. And then I have a leftover piece of dipstick that used to connect from here to the middle. It's 3 feet of it's gone, so that's there. I might bend this a little bit and just put like a Tech screw into the cab just to keep it from moving too far. You can see those blue lines over there. I have the fuel lines ran front to back. I don't know if you can see them through here. I have them. Here, look at it. See, they're going into the pump. So that's done. That's taken care of. We'll check for leaks after that's running. But I got the gas can here. I gotta go. My daily's empty, so I'll throw some gas in there and I'll bring it for this. We just got a piece of wire loom, and I put it on this one and over here just so I don't worry about it rubbing through. And we have this mess. Some wiring. This is the whole engine harness and stock truck fuse block. This might look kind of ridiculous to some people or confusing. This is how much I've taken out of it so far. Basically what you do is you go through the pinout sheet. So it'll be like red connector. They'll have these on there. And you take that off, and then it'll be like a red connector, and they're all numbered. So it'll be like 63, for example. I'll just like pop it out. So then once you have them, all the ones that you aren't going to use anymore. So you just pull them out, and then you run them through the harness, and then they come to like a plug out here, and then that'll be like evap. So all the wires will be out here, and then you pull the wires all the way through, and then it'll come with the plug, all the wires in the plug, and you just throw it right in the garbage. So that, like, the evap plug went, the EGR plug went, the rear O2 sensors plug went, stuff like that. And then you have stuff like this that I just left out. It's tack output. Since it had a mass airflow that got eliminated, it had air IAT sensor, air intake inlet temperature, or whatever you want to call it. So I'll just get a sensor. I'm gonna stick it in the intake, not the manifold. You could put it in the manifold, but I'll probably stick it in like the regular intake, and then that's the sensor ground and the sensor input, and that reads that. So I just have to run that wire in. Check engine light. You can run that to a LED light. One side, this will be ground, and then you run it to like 12 volt switched. Well, like when you turn the ignition on, and then turn check engine light on if this has a ground going through it, which the ECU will trigger the ground. To get it to run off the stock computer, you need these plugs. So these had all wires in here. I just depinned all these and just threw them out. Just things like this. I just depinned it, threw it out. Same with this plug. So this will be, you keep these two. There's a sheet on that. If you need the information, I can tell you which pins these are. But this will be 12 volt on all the time to the battery. This will be 12 volt switched This is power to the fuel pump, so all you have to do is ground your pump, and then this will power it. And I think it's relayed through here. And then on this connector, the only thing keeping is this wire here. That's also going to go to 12-volt switch because that feeds the transmission solenoids, if I do remember correctly. So then all this shit can come out of here. You just cut it, and then the ones you're not going to use, these went to like the ECU plugs. So you'll just depin these two, throw these out. And just the pink ones are usually 12-volt switch power wires, like injectors. Like 8 of these pink ones will be injectors. I think 2 or 4 of them are for the coil packs. Mass airflow sensor went to like this one that's cut, and I eliminated that. So stuff like that. It's pretty simple. I think I'm done for the night. I have that half of the harness done. This needs to be loomed, and then now I have to go through this side of the harness. There's a couple of plugs that I'm gonna pull out also. That'll go back into the harness, or back to like the ECU connectors. So I'll pull all those wires out, and then you got transmission plugs. I gotta switch 2 wires inside here, and then run 2 extra wires through the harness for the second vehicle input sensor. But I'm getting tired and hungry, and can't really deal with this much longer, so I'm gonna call it quits for the day. Plus the weather's changing, and it's darker now, and it's only like 8 o'clock, so I think I'm done. It feels much later than it is. And I'll get back to this tomorrow. Hopefully I can get it to run. Gonna get some gas for it, throw it in there, and then maybe get the starter cranking already, so maybe I'll just throw the harness on there and see if I can't get it to fire up this unlocked computer. You need to eliminate the security, so do that, and then I'll have somebody come over tomorrow, I think, and help me bleed the brakes.